Good morning and welcome to the Houston Minority Supplier Development Council's lead conversation, Supplier Diversity, What's Next? We have a very informative program planned for you all this morning, and we thank you so much for joining us. We have three dynamic panelists who will enlighten and inform us relative to supplier diversity in this COVID-19 situation that we find ourselves. We're thankful again that you have joined us this morning. So I want to take a few moments to give you some housekeeping rules. All mics have been muted. So if you have a question, attendees, please type it in the chat box. We will have a Q&A session. I ask all panelists to please wait 3 seconds after a question is asked of you before you respond to give us a chance to open your microphone. With that being said, I have the privilege of introducing our three panelists this morning. Ms. Latoya Brooks Harris has worked in the oil and gas sector for more than 18 years with Shell Oil and GE in various roles. In 2019, Latoya was named the Supplier Diversity Program Leader for Baker Hughes, where she currently works. In her free time, Latoya enjoys spending time with her family, cycling, and working with her favorite community organizations. She is a proud and distinguished member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Welcome, Ms. Latoya Brooks Harris. We also have with us this morning Mr. Keith Eakins. He is the Senior Manager of Supplier Diversity for CVS Health. In this role, Keith is responsible for the inclusion of certified diverse businesses to create jobs and increase economic opportunities for the communities in which he lives and serves. This is comprised of identifying and developing qualified diverse suppliers, encouraging diverse subcontracting, monitoring annual diverse suppliers spend goals, and providing diverse suppliers access to the CVS Health purchasing community. Keith is a graduate of Alabama A&M University with a bachelor's of logistics and procurement and is a native of Cincinnati, Ohio. We want to welcome Mr. Keith Eakins. And our final panelist is certainly no stranger. Ms. Monica Campagna is the Director of Supplier Diversity at Lone Star College, where she has improved the Supplier Diversity Program along with initiatives that advance the diversity of the supplier base by building trusted relationships with the Lone Star College leadership, local minority businesses, and organizations that work towards the diversity efforts. She graduated from the International University of La Rioja with a master's degree in neuropsychology, and she is a certified professional in supplier diversity from the Institute of Supply Management. Her professional experience includes organizational development, public relations, training, and public speaking. She moved from Ecuador 2 years ago and now is a proud Texan. Monica is a highly competent professional and creates a positive impact by connecting the community and empowering diversity. We are excited to have all three of you with us this morning. Again, thank you so very much. We want to now, I want to now introduce you to our moderator for this morning. Again, she is certainly no stranger. She is the very heartbeat of the Houston Minority Supplier Development Council. She is a dynamic, diligent, and very direct kind of person, one that I truly appreciate. She is a friend and colleague. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our moderator for this morning's panel, Ms. Constance Yvonne Jones, Vice President of Houston Minority Supplier Development Council. Constance.
Thank you, Marcia, for that wonderful introduction. I am so excited to be a part of the panel today and actually participating. I also want to just send a little side note. When you gave me that introduction, I saw Keith and Latoya. When you said direct, they like,
We know you well.
I thought that was a little comedic this morning. But thank you all for participating. Marchette, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction and for introducing our speakers. We are excited about this panel that we're having today. So I'm going to step out of the way without any further ado and get right into the questions that I know people are dying to know and ask our panelists. So Latoya, I'm actually going to start with you, and then Keith, and then Monica. I would like each of you to tell us a little bit about your supplier diversity efforts within your organization and how it relates to minority business development.
Okay, Constance?
Yes.
Okay, so in regards to Baker Hughes, some years back, the old Baker Hughes had a supplier diversity program that, of course, it went dormant. But in last year, of course, Baker Hughes, now the newly formed company from GE, and now is relaunching their supplier diversity program, which started last year. As it relates to minority suppliers, we have 5 categories that Baker Hughes track in regards to our supplier diversity program, which of course are MBEs, our WBEs, small business and veteran-owned companies, as well as LGBT. So as it relates to minorities, that is of course one of the categories that we track, and is one that we are constantly in search of to have added to our supply chain.
Thank you. Keith?
So, hello everybody. First of all, hope everybody's doing well and everybody is safe and sound. CVS's program, which is actually our 20th anniversary this year. So we've been in supply diversity for quite a long time, and we're part of the $1 Billion Roundtable, and we are constantly trying to be innovative and creative and finding ways to create opportunities for our MBEs and our diverse suppliers. And we have 13,000 stores across the country. So we're constantly in construction and looking at ways to include diverse suppliers, not only from a merchandising side of putting things on the shelf, but from our construction of our buildings across the country, as well as in our distribution centers. Everything we do in our supply diversity program is catered around our 4 pillars of supply diversity: that's supplier development and education, communication and program branding, community and industry and relationship building, and performance and process management. So everything we do is based off those 4 pillars. And when we're looking at projects across the country and things we want to do from a supply diversity standpoint, we look at where does it fall within those four pillars. And then we try to work within those pillars to enhance our program, to grow our program, to continue to create ways and avenues for diverse suppliers. And I think as we go on through this morning in this conversation, especially in these trying times, you know, our strategy has changed up a little bit, and we had to get real creative in how to create those opportunities. So I look forward to speaking with everybody, and that's just kind of a little background on where we are with CVS.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. In Lone Star College, well, it's very nice because it has a culture of diversity and inclusion, and it's not only in the area for students or employees, but also in supply management as well. Our efforts include a lot of communication. I think that's key. To have communication with MBEs, to participate in our BID events. We do monthly webinars to explain how to do business with Lone Star. We are preparing, along with the Asian Chamber, a Supplier Diversity Academy, where we'll help MBEs to know how, for example, how to present a proposal, among other important things that MBEs need to know to be successful. Also, one of our current initiatives is to do one-on-ones with the different departments internally with the specific suppliers, to put them face-to-face with the buyers, which is not an easy task, but with the working from home modality, it has been easier to meet not only with vendors, but with the buyers. So that's a good thing. We believe that knowledge is key to advancing our program, and we had to build a close relationship with the procurement team that has helped us to introduce new vendors and open doors for them in our system. We have been working in internal trainings too, to bring diversity awareness to Lone Star employees, so that they know we have a department that they can go to if they are in the need of a specific supplier. We did a series of internal trainings in all our 7 campuses in January, and now we're finishing the online training so that all buyers in Lone Star have access to it in on demand. We have also an intranet site where we have where employees can go and check all the information of our minority vendors. And it's classified in categories, and it has links to their websites and also all the contact information. So that way it's really easy to find them and use them. We also try to promote our vendors internally in our discount program with Beneplace. They can place offers for employees for free, and that is another opportunity to do business indirectly with us. Also, our program allocates 5 points in the evaluation in our bid events, and that is something that encourages primes to continue to work with subcontractors, and also is a direct benefit for an MBE, because just for presenting their certifications, they have that advantage of 5 points in the evaluation. And those are some of the initiatives that our program is working on.
Wow, thank you. That sounds like a lot of interesting information given at the panel. So it still looks like business is still going on. So interesting to hear, how did COVID-19 impact the type of projects that each of your organization awarded? So are you seeing that projects now are smaller, larger, the same? Tell me a little bit about what has that impact, what has COVID-19 impacted the types of projects given and awarded? Latoya, we'll start with you.
For us, honestly, we were, again, in the process of trying to, with some of the projects that we were trying to start and implement, it required suppliers to come on site. And of course, once everything was shut down, even though in our industry we're considered essential, we had to honestly pause for a second, because we had to figure out how to properly get them on site. We had to have our crisis management team in place to come up with the guidelines on how we could move going forward. So to be honest, some of the projects and things are still maybe slightly on a pause, but now we're moving in a better place, or a better position of pretty much trying to bring them on site and do the walkthroughs and the onboarding. But HMSDC has been critical for us, because some of those items that we needed to have those employees on site, we were able to get some good sourcing, get some good MB suppliers in our in the supply chain, and get them top of mind, where we normally would have some of our prime suppliers provide some of those essential items, but and we wouldn't any other time look at diverse suppliers. So certain things in certain areas, it's slightly stalled, but in certain areas, it opened up new doors.
Keith?
For us here at CVS, it's kind of similar to Latoya. On our construction side, we kind of put a lot of projects on hold across the country until, especially in areas where COVID is ramping back up, and it's kind of fluctuating across the country. We put a lot of projects on hold. A lot of stores unfortunately went through the civil unrest throughout the country, so we put a lot of stop to a lot of the businesses. When that happened, we had like 426 stores that were affected by that. So we put some projects on hold. We pushed some projects out to later in the year. I mean, today is July 1st, so we really only got 6 months left in this year. It's going by so fast that we're already looking at 2021 on some of those projects being pushed out. From a merchandising side of the business, we're constantly working with merchandising suppliers to try to put get new products on the shelf from diverse companies. That hasn't changed too much. We have different programs in place where we're having suppliers actually sending us stuff, even though we're strictly work from home. Every now and then I'll still go into the office, because we have merchandising suppliers that are sending product to try to get in front of our merchandising teams to present. So we've got to get creative on that end of it, because we're no longer having on-site meetings anymore. So all our meetings are pretty much virtual now. So is working with these merchandising suppliers to have them present virtually what their products are. You know, it's kind of hard because you want to touch it, you want to feel it, you know, you want to see how it is. So we had to get creative in some of those ways and say, hey, send us the product in, let our merchandising folks look at it, and then we have some virtual meetings. So that had to be a little different in how we did some things. We have some educational workshops that we're doing. We're partnering with Roger Williams University. We're doing a 12-week project there. That's all virtual. At some point, it was a meeting here in Rhode Island, and then you know, some virtual meetings here and there. So we've done some different things on that end of it. So we've really had to alter what we did for this year. And we had 3 events throughout this year on the construction side: East Coast, West Coast, and down in the Southeast and Southwest. That's all changed to virtual. So we really had to get very creative, innovative, and I think the next 6 months, you know, is going to really judge on what we're going to do the first 6 months of 2021. And that's kind of how we're looking at it now. And it's saying what we're going to do here and then what we're going to do after that, because the first quarter of 2021 is really going to be impactful for us, as well as our diverse suppliers, not on the construction side, but also on the merchandising side.
Mm-hmm. So for Lone Star, usually 10% of our minority suppliers are active doing business with us, and that number is increasing. In our spend, 12% of our spend is with minorities, but we always want more. Because of COVID-19, the college had the need to buy big quantities of PPE, and there was an opportunity for the diversity team to introduce MBEs to the procurement team, and we have increased our spend to 15% in the month of May and June. Also, we are doing better in the participation of MBEs in our bid events, and that opens for sure more opportunities for them to get awarded contracts with Lone Star. So yes, it's true that some projects are on hold, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to be active again. We open in June with some workforce programs, and gradually we're going to continue to get to this new normal, and we will continue to increase the numbers, I think, for sure.
Well, that's good information that our MBEs can definitely understand and be able to ask a lot of questions. We are getting a lot of Q&A. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the one and only, the Miss Ingrid Robinson, our president of HMSDC. For those of you who know, Ingrid is a retread to the organization, as she likes to call herself. She started back when she was 12, because I was only 6. And Ingrid now leads us in our efforts in this time. So without further ado, I'd like to bring to you our president, Ingrid Robinson.
Hi there. Thank you, Constance. Hi there. Thank you, Constance, so much for the introduction. And I was 11 and a half, so we'll round up to 12. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. I know that Marchette has received tons and tons of calls asking, what's happening with supplier diversity? What do I do? Who do I contact? And so I know she's talked about it over and over and said, you know, we really need to connect. And so we really appreciate your time today. So we have a couple questions that are coming in, and if others have questions, please use the Q&A box to put your questions in the queue. And so I think we'll start off with one for Keith. So in terms of projects, what type of projects does CVS have in the state of Texas? And is it all centrally run out of Rhode Island, or is there a central local contact that MBE should use to get engaged with CVS?
There we have throughout the region, it's broken up in 3 different regions. So we have our East Coast region, we've got the Midwest, Southwest, and then West Coast. There is For now, I would probably use myself as that contact. We have different what they call SPMs across the country. I don't know who the SPM is actually in Texas, but I do know who their boss is. So I would probably say at some point I can give my email address and folks can reach out to me, and then I can make sure we get them to the right person. As far as projects, I don't know how many projects, but there are definitely a ton of projects going on down in the Texas area. Between Houston and Dallas are some of our larger areas that we do a lot of work in. We have a lot of health hubs that just opened up, I know, in Houston. So there are projects out there. I would just probably have them reach out to me. And also for all your companies, we have a CVS core supplier portal within Connexus that our GCs, our general contractors, they're inside that Connexus looking for those local suppliers in those areas.
Okay, thank you. And so here's a question for you, Latoya. How does an MBE go about being registered as a diverse supplier with Baker Hughes?
Okay, so the first thing is like I said, we are literally building the rest of our foundation. We are actually in the process of actually launching or actually implementing a new ERP system. So we're going to be going to the HICS system, and it will be definitely self-serve for our suppliers. In the next couple of months, they will be able to go to our Support Central on the Baker Hughes website. You will be able to go to Support Central, and then you will be able to register or sign up for just to kind of be in our initial pipeline. But if someone is definitely interested and currently fall in one of our particular categories of needs or that we normally need and services that we need at Baker Hughes, they can definitely send an email to supplier.diversity@bakerhughes.com.
Okay.
And right now I'm reaching out. I'm the main contact, but we have a council, but I'm the main contact for everyone. And I'm usually, because headquarters are here, everything is centralized here in Houston, but we do have business all over the United States.
Awesome. And here is a question that I'll start with you, Monica, but it goes to all of you. How would an MBE present a COVID-19 and beyond solution for your consideration? So I know, Monica, that there has to be a lot going on trying to get a campus, all of your campuses ready to attract students back in the fall.
Yes, that's a great question. Well, we are meeting with a lot of vendors. If someone is interested in doing business with us, we are the people to meet first, and then we help them get registered in our system. We have also a system where you receive constant communications of what's happening, and we can put you also in front of the people that buy at Lone Star, and that will open the opportunity. How to get ahead? Well, think how the college is going to change and how education is going to change. What are we going to need? Maybe a better system with an online system, for example, for students, because now maybe education is going to change online and it's not going to be like going face-to-face to classes, maybe offering different types of in the academic area. There must be a lot of things that we could add to our current system, and well, getting the needs, because this evolves. COVID-19 is evolving. We know we need masks, but we don't know what else we will need. So we will have to, I encourage vendors to get ahead and do research on how other countries also managed it so that we are prepared. That would be my advice.
Oh, that's great. Some best practices to bring to you. Okay. And Keith, so how would one go about providing a COVID-19 and beyond solution to CVS?
For us, I'm grateful I've got a good team. So we have our own, kind of similar to everybody else. We have a CVS Health mailbox that they can send the information into to us. And then once we get it, we'll disperse it out. We have such a large sourcing group and large merchandising and construction. So we've got a large group. So once we get that information in that mailbox, we can kind of disperse it and look at it and get it in the right place. And one thing that I hate that I failed to mention is it was not only CVS Health, we also own Aetna too. So we also have that side of the business that my team is also responsible for. So we've got a vast group of people across the country with 3 of us that we're representing. So as we get this information in, we have to go back and look at it and find out, hey, what's the best place for this to go, especially in this COVID-19, that we're really trying to have our suppliers, really have to be very innovative and very creative, because for us, once everything hit in March, everybody rushed. All kinds of PPE and all, we got all of that type stuff. So if you're jumping in and reaching out to us saying we got PPE, our PPE supply base is so long right now that my first advice to you is don't give me anything that's PPE related, because we've got so much of it right now that you would be so far down the list that you have to give me something so innovative within the PPE space that my team would say, hey, let's look at this. So my first thing I would probably put out there that's most important, be very creative and innovative with what you're coming to us, with everybody that's on this panel, what you're coming to us with, because it's got to be able to catch not only our eye, but it's got to catch my team's eye to be like, hey, Keith, we need this. And because I don't want to have you chasing ghosts and just running around trying to get this business and it ain't there. So I'd rather be honest with you and say, hey, right now, that's just not what we're looking for. We're looking for something that's a little more innovative. We've got test sites across the country now. Maybe it's something we can work with test sites. We've got more gowns and masks and stuff like that at a plethora right now. And again, we are CVS. So now when this first hit, we didn't have those contracts in place with 3M and some of those other places. So within a couple of months, we had all those contracts in place. So we were getting all of this stuff shipped directly to us. So then it became, okay, let's see how we can work with some of these smaller businesses and what they can provide to us. So we've made some inroads with a couple of diverse suppliers across the country that have been able to bring us some innovative projects to us, from different cloths, different fabrics that we're looking at working with. So there's opportunities there. And before we get off this call, I've got my team already working to get me the portal site that I can give to everybody out there that they can go and download their information to.
Perfect. And if you don't get it by then, we'll make sure that we send it out to all of those participants and share that through our weekly alert. Okay. And so, Latoya, a question for you. Based on upstream oil and gas activity, and there are so many different facets of safety that you guys require when you're out in the field, has that changed sort of the COVID needs that you have in terms of supplies? Like I would assume, do you guys they work in such close proximity and flame retardant this and all of that. So are your needs a little bit different than what you would normally see?
Yes, they have changed. Of course, when literally everything stops and the gas prices plummeted, our work stopped. So that had a large impact, of course, to the bottom line. But a lot of course, with Baker Hughes and the new launch of the company and the rebranding, we literally were in the process of doing rebranding of uniforms, just in branding of buildings. As the background, you see the new logo and all of that stuff, of course, was impacted by the change. So once everything stopped with oil and gas and the prices and things started going down, we literally had to stop the rebranding of uniforms that we were doing and working with a diverse supplier on. We had to actually stop some of that. So that, of course, had a large impact on what we had going on. However, we still have other projects and other opportunities that we see now where MBEs were not playing. Again, in the PPE arena was one of those. We had prime suppliers that provided PPE items, and of course they were so backlogged, but we were able to get in contact and really work with some of the diverse suppliers to bring them into the conversation. But everything literally for us on the upstream level stopped. It's starting to slowly pick back up now. But of course, we could not go to the office. We could not, so we had to make sure our digital platforms and things were up and running. So for us, that it has changed the entire game. So for those who thought they couldn't work remote, we now see that we all have to, and they all have to now in regards to supporting our customers in oil field and some of our programs and services, literally have an entire setup from their homes, because we can't go back into the offices right now. So that's going to be something, and I know you addressed it with the other panelists, but I definitely too wanted to mention in regards to a diverse supplier or MBE coming in with a COVID solution. I'm definitely like Keith, you're going to have to definitely be out of the box, innovative, and really come with some great solutions for what we need. I laughed, of course, in the beginning when they discussed constants and being direct, because I'm the same way. I don't believe in wasting my time or wasting yours. And like what Keith said, we're not going to keep running in circles if we know the business is not there. That's one thing that I stress wholeheartedly to my suppliers, and tell you right now it's not there. Not saying it won't be there later, but just stay in contact, but come with something more creative. Everybody is saying the same thing. We don't need to see that. And in order for me to really pitch you to the sourcing team, you're going to have to really be dynamic and be ready for what they're going to come with. Yeah.
All right, so we have just a couple more questions that I want to try to see if we can get in before we have to move on. But quickly, Keith, one of the questions is, what's the criteria for being selected for CVS's Diverse Executive Leadership Training Program?
That's a very good question. That program is actually, it started. So we've actually started it. So what they do, there's no real, I'm gonna see, there's the biggest criteria is it's really catered towards category 1 or 2 suppliers, not more than $10 million, because we want to make sure that we're helping those companies get to that level 3 and 4. It's a 12-week program, and typically it's just started in June, and it runs until October. And we partner with Roger Williams University. So there's an application process that I think we sent that out to all of the councils. We sent it out across to the different national organizations, and then everybody applied in the application process. There's an essay within the application process. Tell us what your business is, and then it goes through a scoring process between ourselves and the actual advisors that are teaching the classes at Roger Williams University. And then it's about a 2 or 3 week process of going through all the applications. I think this year we ended up with like 250. And we went through each one of them, narrowed it down to 20. And those 20 companies will actually go through the 12-week program. Within the program, there's Roger Williams advisors, or we call them coaches. They work with those 20 companies. And then we also added this year that we haven't done before, is we added what we call CVS coaches. So each CVS coach, there's 3 of them, and they each have like about 6 to 5 or 6 to 7 suppliers that they work with, and they spend 1 hour a week with each individual supplier in a coaching or an advising situation. And then towards the end of the program, we give them a mock RFP, and they actually go to a real CVS mock RFP, and they present that back to the coaches and the advisors. Then at the end of the program, there's a graduation ceremony, and it's a very good program. We've been running it. This is the 7th year that we've done it, and it's totally different this year because of COVID. So it's all virtual. We usually end it off with what we call a Ruby Awards banquet, and we give out awards. So this year there will be no Ruby Awards. So we have to figure out a way to give back to them for the hard work they did during this 12-week program. Okay.
Well, and for the sake of time, I know that we have some more questions, and if we have an opportunity to get to some more, we will circle back. I'm sure that Marchette will, or Constance as the moderator, will try to get back to those if we can. So, Constance, Back to you.
Thank you, Ingrid. And y'all are asking some wonderful questions. So we're just going to keep that momentum going with some of the additional information that we want to know, because we want to try to move to next. So Latoya, I will start with you. So you talked a little bit about MBEs who have PPE solutions and needs and suppliers, but how has that really impacted supplier onboarding for you at your manufacturing sites and facilities?
Well, Constance, of course, with Baker Hughes being an essential company, we still have employees that are going into the manufacturing sites to work to support our customers and the company as a whole. So the need for us to provide a safe environment is a must. So of course, it's opened the door for us, for diverse suppliers, because again, we normally get these items from our prime supplier, from some of the larger companies. And of course, with them being just overtaxed and tapped out, it's opened the door for opportunities for diverse suppliers and for some of our MBEs to provide that service. Some of our procurement managers, of course, wouldn't have thought or even looked at some of the diverse suppliers. So like I said, it's opened a door in one area. And so I'm deciding I'm going to kick it in other areas. When we literally have suppliers, like I mentioned earlier, to come, we have to do sometimes those site visits. We've had to put in place everyone being checked every day for temperatures a couple of times a day, just to even come on site. You have to have literally a form, almost like an application, completed and filled out before you can even come on site. So we had an MBE who literally were working on a pilot to try to bring them on site, but now we're trying to figure out another way, just because travel is completely halted for us as well. And now that travel is picking back up, we're trying to figure out, okay, how can you get here, or if you can't even get here, can our technology, do we have cameras, or can we do some type of virtual walkthrough to see how you can better support this location? Or we can bring you on board with the pilot. So we're literally, just like we're asking the suppliers to be innovative and think out of the box, we're having to do the same thing, because no matter what, we still have to get the work done. So we ask that those suppliers too, if you have any type of ideas or concepts that you think that can help us with the onboarding process, we're definitely open to that. So we're having to stretch ourselves a lot more as well as some of our suppliers, just to get them on board, to even get them online to do the work.
And that's spot on, because that's exactly what the conversation we were having yesterday in our breakout rooms at our mixer we had last night. They talked about, our corporate members talked about innovation and talked about how to utilize this time in order to ensure that MBEs are bringing those innovative solutions still to the table, in order to ensure that they're being able to get through all the noise in order to do business. And so that's interesting that you say that. So Latoya, I know that you have been sending information to the council. So talk to me a little bit about what's next for Baker Hughes. So we've talked about COVID, and now I want to shift a little bit to what's next. What is happening post right now, right? So if we look at Q3 and Q4 in 2021, how should our suppliers be preparing for what's next with Baker Hughes?
So what's next for Baker Hughes, of course, is to continue to see Baker Hughes and our brand out in the market, and to be able to recognize us for supplier diversity. That's one. What's next is for us to continue to grow our supplier base with our MBE suppliers, and for us to continue to find some of those MBE suppliers that we don't already have, and then also grow some of the ones that we already have. With our product companies, we're in the process of trying to leverage some of those suppliers that we have to see where we have some crossover. Where can they cross over? Because we are still fairly new. I still say that we are about a year. We're still trying to build some of the foundational pieces and putting some things in place so that it can just take off. But to be completely honest with you, with some of the other things that's happened since COVID, you know, Baker Hughes is becoming more aggressive with our targets for our diverse suppliers. So I would just say for those for sure in United States, especially in the Houston area, just be ready for some opportunities that you haven't seen before from Baker Hughes that we will be rolling out. And we expect when we bring those suppliers to the table, we want you to be innovative. We want you to have everything that we need and more. Better yet, I want you to have things that we don't even have. I want you to be able to tell us what we don't have and what we're missing and why you should be that supplier for us. Those are the type of things that we're going to be looking for. I know these are definitely challenging times right now, but I definitely see it as an opportunity for our program, for our diverse suppliers post-COVID, should I say, whenever that post time will be.
Great. Thank you so much, LaToya. We're going to now shift to you, Keith. So, Keith, I know that recently we received some information that you are wanting to do a matchmaker for some of the constructions in your primes. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, we're in the beginning stages of putting on our first virtual business, supply diversity business building event. This is, I kind of referenced this earlier. In normal times, this is actually done on site. We'll do one on the East Coast, West Coast, we'll do one down south, and we take our construction teams, we partner with the councils. Early on, before all of this happened, I had reached out to Ingrid and said, hey, we want to do the actual event in Houston. And then, of course, everything went south on us on that. So we had to make it a virtual event. We've changed it up. It was totally new ground for us. We've partnered with AMI, who's actually putting the virtual part of the event together for us. We've sent out, we have 160 general contractors that are CVS general contractors. That meeting is specifically for them. They are mandated to spend at least 10%. That's their goal, is 10% with diverse suppliers. And what we're doing now, the first part of this meeting with them is really letting them know where they are in that 10%, red, yellow, green, you know, where you are, how can you get, what can we do to help you get to that 10%. And after that initial meeting with them is we usually have, if it was on site, we'd have subcontractors there, and then we'll do the actual, you know, one-on-one matchmaking with them during that day. What's different with it being this year that it's virtual, we're going to have the initial meeting with our general contractors, and then after that we'll have breakout meetings with them. And then what we're trying to do is getting all our subcontractors the information that the council has gotten and that we've sent out, is to have these subs go into our CVS portal, put all their company information in there, because that's where these 160 GCs, they're going in there and they're going to do the matchmakers through our Connexus system. Me and my team, we will moderate and be a part of those meetings to make sure that the opportunities are being created. Anything from plumbing to drywall to electricians, because a lot of that is going to be localized depending on you know, where the GC is. I think the question earlier is like, are we doing anything in Houston? Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of Houston, so we'll look for those GCs and they'll try to have meetings with those subcontractors that are local. One of the things that I'm trying to work with through this program is, if there are subcontractors that have a national footprint or can go to other states, you know, is trying to work with them and trying to get them partnered with the right GCs. So that's kind of where the program is now. Actually, our kickoff date is July 30th. So we're trying to get as many subs signed up between now and July 30th on the CVS platform. That way our general contractors have a plethora of suppliers and subcontractors to look at. Again, because they have that mandated 10% that they have to get, and they're judged on that. At the end of every year, we go back and look and see where those top suppliers are with their spend.
Thank you, Keith. That's a lot of valuable information. And so my question to you is the same question I had to Latoya. So we're looking to the future. What's next for CVS? And you mentioned Aetna Health. So what is on the horizon for those two organizations as it relates to our minority businesses, and how do they need to prepare in order to do business with you in the rest of 2020 and 2021?
Yeah, that's a good question, because when I went into it in January, I had this supernaturally great plan on what we were going to do for the year, and by March that plan was balled up and thrown in the garbage. So I had to kind of go back and recreate what I was doing and try to figure out how we're going to make this work, because it's going to be totally different. As you see, everything now we're doing, just look at today, is virtual meetings. For us, there's no travel for me at all the rest of this year, and probably maybe into the first quarter. So I've had to get real creative on how to meet with suppliers, how to bring suppliers to the table through these virtual meetings, virtual matchmakers, because all of us that are on this call, we're used to being at trade shows and traveling the country where I can meet a supplier face to face. I like that. So not being able to do that, you lose that one-on-one time, that time where I can actually get to know you face to face, rather than on the virtual aspect of it. So it's really trying to figure out that part of it, and we're still figuring it out as we go. I will say, I'm not going to say supply diversity's changed, because it's still the same. It's just that we had to get creative in how we're going to get our message across. We had to get creative in how we're going to try to do business with our diverse suppliers. One of the things that Latoya mentioned, I actually wrote it down, was, what we run into as supply diversity professionals is we always want to grow the supply base. We want to bring on new suppliers, but my sourcing team is like, hey, Keith, I don't want no more suppliers. Back up, you know what I'm saying? So I've got to find that happy medium, and I think it goes back to, I think what we've been saying a lot is being creative, innovative. That's what's going to get you to the table, especially when they don't want any more suppliers. We like what we got, and my goals and everything I do is based off me bringing new suppliers to the table. So for us, I'm not going to say it's been a lot of change. I think it's more of just getting creative in how I'm doing my job, because it's not the same as we used to do it before. So it's really being creative like that. For the MBEs, for them, I would say just keep doing what you're doing, because your goal is to grow your business, and my goal is to make you economically viable long term. So we've got to figure out a way to do that. I think one of the things that I've learned with this virtual thing is a lot of our diverse suppliers, they weren't prepared for what we're going through now. And when I say that, they weren't prepared from I have to work virtual now. I don't have a laptop. I don't have a computer. I don't have this. I don't have, the bandwidth. So what I'm realizing is we've got a lot of suppliers that weren't prepared. And so from my end of it is saying, okay, what can I do to help them get prepared? And that's one of the things that's part of the Roger Williams program, is asking them, are you prepared to do this? But because we've learned a lot of them, they don't have access to the web, or their computer is this, or it's not. It's something. And when you work with these category 1 and 2 suppliers, and you're trying to get them to that category 3, I think we're finding out that a lot of them just weren't technology sound. They can do the work, and they do a hell of a job, but now you got to change it up. And I think a lot of them weren't prepared for that. So I think for us, that's the biggest thing is how do we get these suppliers prepared for the virtual realm, because this is going to be the new norm for a long time. You're going to have to learn how to present like this, and not say, Keith, let me come into your office and show you things, because you can't show me. And I think we're going to have to get better. I know I am, at really training these diverse suppliers on, this is how you have to present to us now. This is how you're going to get to Ms. Ingrid and Ms. Constance and Latoya and Monica Keith. That's how you're going to get to us, because you can't come to my office. I'm not going to any trade shows. NMSDC is virtual now. So they have to get creative on their end of it too. And I think, when we joke about being straightforward, and I've been straightforward with a few of them, and saying, you got to figure out how you're going to do this now, because you can't, I'm not going into my office to get packages every day that you mailing me stuff. So we got to figure out a better way to do it. So I think that's for me is the biggest thing. I'm not gonna say we changed how we're doing things. We just got to get creative in how we're doing supplier diversity, especially being a part of $1 Billion Roundtable. We have to stay relevant, and we've got to keep doing what we're doing and not decreasing our spend. I've got to keep it to where it is and keep it going and not miss a step. So we've done it. We're getting better at it, but I mean, it's been a truly a learning experience all the way around.
Thank you, Keith. And I think that, I mean, you saw a lot of people nodding their heads in the back because we were definitely co-signing, and it's very consistent with what we're hearing and the role that we play as an organization and as the NMSDC network. And so it was great hearing your perspective, especially from an organization that's on the $1 Billion Roundtable. So we thank you for your comments and your feedback. Monica, so tell us how supplier diversity has worked throughout the college in order to really include diversity and inclusion.
Well, we have our slogan, which is connecting the community, empowering diversity. And what we're working on a lot is the internal awareness. Because if you don't have people on board of supporting suppliers that are minority, you are not going to be effective. So the trainings, the internal trainings that I told you about, that has helped a lot. Lone Star has a great cultural beliefs, and one of them is advancing inclusion and equity. So at the moment, the supplier diversity team is participating in everything that it's related to diversity. We have a diversity advisory committee, and because as I said before, Lone Star not only cares about employees or students in this regard, but also cares for the community. And suppliers are part of that community that we want to support and help, for sure. Our authorities are really involved and help our department with our initiatives. We feel that this is going to change positively our outcomes in regards to our supplier diversity results. Recently, also, the Chancellor created another advisory council for equity and inclusion, and we will be there participating actively to spread the word about our program. I think we're all about connections and building relationships, and that's very important. Right now, we have also good relationships with many chambers of commerce as well, and that is helping us to be active in the community and use more MBEs. So that's how we go throughout the college. We participate in everything that we can to spread the word and increasing the awareness on diversity, because I think that's the key for us to be more successful.
Thank you, Monica. So is supply diversity just in the area of supply management, or is it really inclusive throughout the campuses?
It's inclusive throughout the campuses because, as I said, advancing equity is one of our cultural beliefs, and Lone Star is very supportive in every initiative that it's in regards of diversity. So yes, it's all about the campus. And right now, if you ask me how do I see the future, I see a positive future because I can see that COVID is going to change a little bit education. And maybe because it's online, now students might prefer to go to a community college. And that will be an advantage for us. Right now, we have more than 90,000 students. So I think it's going to grow. Right now, enrollments are great numbers. And of course, authorities are like taking it slowly and see how fall gets the numbers, and they are like freezing the budget for now, but it's going to grow and we will have more students, and that for sure will be an opportunity for more businesses to do business with us. So we are preparing and getting ready to know all the needs that the college is going to have and bring more MBEs to our supplier base.
All right, great, Monica. So you started alluding to it, and so I want to ask you the same question that I've asked each of the panelists. So what is next for Lone Star? What does moving to next actually look like for suppliers who are interested in continuing to offer services or to offer services to Lone Star?
Mhm. Well, it's almost the same as Keith and Latoya. We are not going to go for any trade shows now until everything gets better with this situation. But we are continue to work with virtually. So we are trying to do those matchmakings with business to business. We are trying to. The most important thing that we are going to do is to find the needs of each department and get suppliers in front of these departments virtually, of course, but we are going to do those. We will be the intermediaries so that they can connect. And as I said, Lone Star is going to grow, and that's going to bring more opportunities, not only for the actual situation with the PPE or those things, but Lone Star is going to have more students, so we will have more needs. So it's going to be a good thing for suppliers. And our team is very open to have meetings. We have 3 people in our team right now. We have an analyst and manager. Samantha is a great person that loves to meet with the vendors. And me, of course, I'm open for that and help you see if you are a good fit for us, because not all vendors are a good fit. So I will be very transparent and say, we don't use this. So I can refer you to other companies maybe, or I can refer you to other businesses that might use your service or other corporations, but we need this and that, so that the vendor will know exactly if he has a possibility to do business with us. So that's our job for now. And that's what we're trying to be very knowledgeable in all departments and how Lone Star is purchasing things.
Okay, thank you, Monica. So I have one last question as it relates to primes. Monica, should MBEs actually be looking at doing business with Lone Star primes? And it's a two-parter. Sorry, I had to throw it in there. And does Lone Star actually purchase professional services?
Yes, we do. We have sometimes bids about professional services, and yes, MBEs should be interested in working with our primes. We have a few. We have like 50 primes working right now with subcontracting plans, and we always encourage them to do so. Sometimes they need vendors they don't have a list of vendors with whom to work, and we provide those lists. So we are always trying to connect primes with MBEs. That's part of our job too. I think Constance is freezed.
Ms. Constance?
Technical
All righty. Well, I think our moderator is having some technical difficulties. Well, we certainly thank all of you, and we wanted to, before we wrap it all up, we wanted each of you to offer your final remarks as it relates to supplier diversity. So, Latoya, I'll start with you.
I definitely want to just remind everybody that we'll get through this. This will pass. It's definitely challenging times, and we always say the new norm. Honey, I think this is the norm. I don't know if like some of you others, I don't even remember what day it is half the time. And it's been 4 months in, so this doesn't feel like it's really new anymore. It's kind of getting old. However, we're going to have to adjust. This is just the way it's going to have to be. So either we're going to go with it, or we're just going to get left behind. So one thing for us, we want to, again, we're telling everybody else to be innovative. we want to be innovative. I mean, we want to be bold and do things completely out of the box. And when I say bold, for us would be, hey, let's flip the script a little bit. Let's maybe make an MBE supplier a prime and make the prime second to an MBE. So, you know, we're trying to think outside of the box in things like that. So that's why we're going with really just be bold, and being bold goes, it's in every situation. Be bold in how and what you're doing, what you're presenting, in your innovation, and just not be afraid. Because right now, it looks tough, but I definitely think for us at Baker Hughes, the opportunity is going to be much greater going forward. Because of everything that has happened, we are moving in a more aggressive position and aggressive move for diverse suppliers. So being bold, and stay encouraged is what I definitely want to say.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Monica, same question to you. What are your closing thoughts as it relates to supplier diversity?
Okay, I think, yes, we have to be creative. The change is happening, and it's not only for this, it's for many things that are happening in the world. And I think we have to be ready to accept the challenge. Like Latoya was saying, to be bold, you have to adjust, adapt, and be constantly in improvement as a professional, because you need to know how to tackle all these obstacles and how to be ready for everything. So be ready and up for the challenge would be my closing remark.
Absolutely. And lastly, Keith.
Am I on? Oh, there I go.
Yes.
Yeah, a couple of things that I always try to tell MBEs. I think this is probably one of the most trying times, not only from a supply diversity standpoint, but from a running a business standpoint. And you know, we said the same old things, being creative, being innovative. But I think when you're MBE, all you hear is, I ain't got no PO, I ain't got no contract, and I keep hearing this no. And it is really just letting them know that, you know, we're not going anyplace from a CVS standpoint, from a Baker Hughes, from the university standpoint. But you got to be patient with us right now, because if the opportunities aren't there, they aren't there. And we're trying to create them. We're trying to be, you know, innovative from a supply diversity standpoint, and to make those opportunities. But one of the things that I do want to leave them with, you know, if it was some closing remarks or closing words, is you got to have faith in the middle. And I think when these MBEs and everything that's going on, everything we're going on now, the beginning journey is good. That's fine. You can start it off, you can end it, but it's the middle part. And you got to be able to have faith in the middle to know, hey, I'm going to get through this, and we're going to get through this. And I think right now, all of us, not even just from a supply diversity, but even from a MBE standpoint, we're in the middle. So we've got to have that faith right now to know that, okay, the business is going to turn around. You know, our budgets are going to get put back in, and you know, everything is going to change. So a lot of MBEs, if I can leave them with anything, that's the biggest thing, is really have faith in the middle, because that's where we are right now. And we got to get through this. I find that a lot of MBEs, sometimes they got more faith in failure than they do in success. Yeah. So you got to change that mind state to say, no, you need to have, you know, more faith in success and not in the failure part of it. And I think right now I'm seeing that also, is they're putting all of their work in the failing, because they're not getting these businesses. You know, you're dealing with the PPP pay, whatever program, you got that going on too. And that's all messed up. So it's really just getting everybody back focused on, from my standpoint, I am here for you. I'm here to make you economically viable long term. And they got to realize that we talk amongst each other. You know, like Monica said, if I don't have an opportunity, that don't mean Monica doesn't. That doesn't mean I can't reach out to Ingrid and say, hey, I can't do anything with the supplier, but this is a damn good supplier. We need to find them some work. So they got to understand that we talk amongst each other, and that if I got a good supplier, then you have a good supplier. And that's what I've kind of been telling the ones that I can't use is, hey, I don't have anything here, but I know somebody that do. So let me make that introduction. And again, that goes back to having that faith in the middle, to trust me enough that whatever I tell you, I'm going to do. You know, like I always tell, just ride with me. I got you. It may take a little bit of time. We're going to get there. But if you choose to get off the train, I'm cool with that too. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, because the train ain't going to stop.
Absolutely.
So that's just a couple of things I'd like to leave them. And thank you, Ingrid and Constance and Marchette for having me on here. I appreciate it. And it's been an awesome experience too. And happy 4th of July to everybody too.
Thank you so much, Keith. We truly appreciate you. And I echo what you said about having faith. I would only add to that, have faith on the front end, through the middle, and on the back end. Indeed, I am a woman of faith. I walk by it. And so I certainly would encourage that. And then when you spoke about, you know, having the real life information, you reminded me a lot of one of our corporate members who is online, Mr. Donovan Casanade. He always says, you know, walk with me. You know, we're going to get there and we'll help you get there, but we need you to walk with us and be patient. And so I echo those sentiments as well. Again, we certainly want to thank everybody. We see that our moderator is back, and we want for her to offer her closing remarks as well. And then we're going to ask Ingrid to offer closing remarks, and I will be back at you. So, Madam Moderator, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Marchette, and thank you, panelists, for actively participating. I thought that this was a wonderful opportunity to hear from 3 different perspectives, 3 different industries, but the overarching thing that we did here is that it's pretty consistent with what our corporate members and our MBEs were discussing last night, which is we need to be innovative, we need to prepare and get ready. And this has rocked everybody. Everybody is having to learn a new way of doing business. And so this is a great opportunity for our MBEs to actually do some business development, because we have suppliers and supplier diversity at home and willing to work in making those connections. And so I do echo what I did hear you say intermittently through my connections, is that trust the people, right? That this is really the time to start building the relationships. And so relationships is still key. So I leave you with that and turn it over now to Madam President.
Thank you all for joining us today. I really appreciate the time that all of you shared with us. And we always try to bring our MBEs different perspectives from different industries. So Keith, thank you for coming on behalf of CVS and Aetna and talk about the opportunities you have with MBEs in the healthcare industry. Latoya, I know that you guys are struggling so much in oil and gas, and so every day is a new challenge. And so we appreciate you being with us, and part of that larger GE organization I know has its challenges. And Monica, thank you for not only serving as chair of our SEDAC committee, but bringing to us sort of your perspective from education and how that's going to look as you serve one of the largest groups of our young people who are trying to get educated. Between high school and 4-year colleges, we're seeing an increase in community colleges. So you're in the community and we really appreciate it. So thank you all so much for providing your insight today.
Well, thank you guys. This has truly been enlightening. We certainly want to thank all of our attendees. We have several corporate members who are in attendance as well. They've been texting me. And so thank you all so much. We do appreciate you all joining us. Latoya, Monica, and Keith, very well done. Information very well received. We appreciate you and thank you all so much for working with us. And we will do this again sometime soon. So thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.